Hello, my name is Kit Cabell, one of the co-founders of Veracity In Defiance, and I'm here with the host of Sane Progressive. Can you please introduce yourself?
I'm Debbie Lusignan. Hi, everybody.
All right, so obviously as a commentator, political journalist, and you're following along with this entire Democratic primary, how do you feel about the end results of what the DNC has done?
I think the GNC is just doing what they've been doing all along. They've run a highly unethical, highly manipulative, dishonest campaign. It's been going on, since the inception of the campaign, and we saw our data stolen back in December, and then they tried to pin it on Bernie Sanders, even though it was the NGP van and their database, and it looks like they used that data to probably purge voter rolls all over the country. And so, following this election closely, it's just more of the same. You can't be surprised.
So is it fair to at least assume that Hillary Clinton is not the legitimate Democratic nominee after the blatant voter fraud data and voter purging that was going on throughout the entire primary, and which was revealed, I believe, 2 days ago, that the DNC was working alongside the Clinton campaign? Do you feel that Clinton is the legitimate nominee?
Well, no, we know she's not the legitimate nominee, and we know there's been mass election fraud that's occurred. I mean, I've been documenting it on my website, and you can go to electionfraud2016.wordpress.com. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can go by the state-by-state evidence. I mean, it started off in Iowa when the paper that endorsed Hillary Clinton, the Des Moines Register, stated that she had, not she, but that the Democratic caucus was something stunk. That was the headline. Something stinks within the Democratic Party, and they called for a full audit and investigation because it was such a corrupt process. And the editorial board endorsed Clinton, so it wasn't like they were biased. They saw something really wrong, and then it just went and hopscotched all through the rest of the country. So.
Now, recently, also, Debbie Schultz has stepped down as the Democratic chair, and now she's been rewarded as being the honorary co-chair for the Clinton campaign. Your thoughts on Debbie Schultz, and do you feel that what the Clinton administration has done by taking Debbie Schultz to their campaign, do you feel that this causes a huge division for any hope for party unity, which something that DNC is gambling on, but I think we both know that's not going to turn out well?
Well, I think it's more evidence that we have a rigged election system, because how can Hillary Clinton have the luxury of flipping off the millions of Bernie Sanders supporters that she would need to take the presidency if it was not a rigged system? I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz was a huge middle finger, taking her onto the campaign, picking Kane as VP, who is actually a vice presidential pick that goes against her own constituents' desires, not even Bernie Sanders' desires. She's flipping off her own constituents. So, no, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, but it's too much is made of her. She's just an attack dog for Hillary. She's just a servant. She's just a servant of the mob bosses, And so when people were saying, that we got something with her, we got nothing. It's like, Hillary Clinton, she played her role. She was installed, and now she's going to be the honorary campaign head. Okay,
so now, especially in regards to Bernie Sanders' concession speech last night, as well as his 2-week early endorsement of Hillary Clinton, how do you feel about Bernie Sanders? Do you think he made the right decision with that 2-week early endorsement, as well as conceding tonight? Do you feel like he could have done more to rally to make this more of a contested convention?
I think Senator Sanders was highly remiss in not addressing the election fraud that the election integrity activists have been working on for months, and myself included. I've been talking to attorneys, and I've been talking to poll workers and volunteers all over the country, and we did everything we could to get the evidence to the campaign, and we were met with radio silence, and I think that's a betrayal of his constituents. He asked for hundreds of millions of dollars in money, and he asked for millions of dollars in campaign hours, and he failed to protect the vote, and he had a responsibility to do that. And I've said in my videos that I respect a lot of the positive things about the campaign, but I don't let Bernie off the hook for that. It's not ethical, and and basically by endorsing Hillary Clinton, he's endorsing the candidate that was fraudulently installed for the benefit of the very corporations that he's spent a year telling us that we need to fight. So Bernie, no, not well done, sir, not well done.
All right. And do you think that there's any hope for a party unity at all? Do you think that some Bernie Sanders supporters are going to fall in line to Hillary Clinton? What's your reasons for thinking that they're not going to fall in line? I mean,
the reason is that people were not with Bernie Sanders for a cult of personality politics. They were with Bernie Sanders because they are tired of this abusive, oppressive system where Democrats betray their voters and their constituents at every turn. And they were with Bernie because they thought they had an opportunity to do something different. And I've said in my videos again, it's like if they install Hillary Clinton, they're going to buy it at the price of dividing the Democratic Party in two and let it fall. It's time. It's time. It's now as corrupt as the Republican Party. In fact, the Democrats are routinely meeting and exceeding the betrayals of the Republicans. So, yeah.
Okay, so now obviously Bernie Sanders is out of the political platform. He's out of the game right now. But Americans don't like Donald Trump. Americans don't like Hillary Clinton. Do you believe that Dr. Jill Stein or Gary Johnson has enough momentum from perhaps Bernie Sanders supporters and people who are now getting involved in the political process to be part of the debate stage and be on the ballot to challenge both Trump and Clinton? And if so, do they have a chance?
I think that it is time that we build the third-party infrastructure. I think it's a little naive to think that we're going to do it in one election cycle. But I think it would be a start to do it. I've been talking with the Jill Stein campaign, and one of the things I'm saying, if she wants to get my viewers, and I've been saying this to all the other activists I'm working with, is if you're not going to address election fraud, Jill, then we're not going to be spending our time trying to give you money and our volunteer hours, because that has to be, just as important as the campaign finance reform is the election integrity issue. And I think that it's bigger than the question you're asking me. I think what really is that what we're facing with what we see in this election is that we no longer have the option of creating political change through the election system. It's rigged, it's owned. We vote on private voting machines with proprietary software where it's illegal for us to even look at the ballots. Our government is usurped, and it is now entirely controlled, well, not entirely controlled, but mostly controlled by the, especially at the national levels, the federal levels, by the corporations who own it and the military-industrial profiteers.
Okay, now the DNC is trying to end Clinton campaign to running a campaign of fear of Donald Trump. And I think all of us who've been following this primary, we know what's wrong with a potential Trump administration. And I've asked people on the street, as well as fellow progressive journalists, what's wrong with, that they know what's wrong with a Trump administration. But what concerns you, and this is what I've been asking people, what concerns them about a potential Clinton administration? And as a journalist, as someone's followed this primary, what concerns you about a Clinton administration?
She's going to go to war. If you listen to her Brookings Institute speech, which she gave in September of 2015, she gave a speech basically to the people who were the originators of the Iraq War, talking about how she believed that it would be easier to go to war with Iran based on having the Iran treaty, because it has a loophole the size of a truck in it that allows us to back out really at our whim. She's going to, no-fly zone in Syria. She's going to put us in confrontation with Russia. She's going to expand. She won't stop fracking. She's going to expand fracking. She's going to expand all the policies that we need to absolutely be against if we're going to seriously address climate change. The fact is that we're screwed either way.
Okay, now we also know that recent polling data has shown that she's losing to Donald Trump. Do you believe that this is going to be a continuation of her losing up in regards to Donald Trump as polling data continues on, as this primary continues on? Do you think that she's going to constantly keep on struggling to keep up with Donald Trump?
I don't think it matters. We have rigged, installed elections. Hillary Clinton. Now, if you look at Bernie Sanders in places where there was an open source voting in California, he was winning by 30%. So they're going to install Hillary Clinton simply because she is the choice of the corporate owners and the military-industrial profiteers. Right before the primary was even over, she had formed Republicans for Hillary, which is it's not a grassroots group. It's a group that was courting her top aides in her campaign, was courting the top Republican operatives and the top Republican political donors, because she was making the case that she would be a better representative for them than their own Republican nominee. So she's going to be highly effective in advancing the policies that we don't want, because the Republicans are going to work with her to make it happen.
And in regards to this political revolution, what do you think is its future and this political philosophy that Bernie Sanders has helped share with countless Americans? Where do you think the next step of this movement is going to go? Do you think it's going to die out like the DNC wants it to do, or do you think it's going to continue to evolve and not go anywhere?
It's tough to say. I think I had a lot of concerns with Bernie Sanders utilizing the term political revolution as a campaign slogan, because he was obviously not serious about it if he wasn't going to address election fraud, and he is not going to, and if he's going to endorse Hillary Clinton, which is one of the most corrupt and dishonest politicians in modern American political history. I take umbrage with that. Please don't degrade the word by calling, trying to herd people back into a system of corruption as revolutionary. It's counter-revolutionary. I think the American public has too much of a cult of personality, and too many people rallied around Bernie because they were looking for a hero, and I think people are going to feel lost because we didn't do the foundation of issue-oriented activism and the building process it takes to actually retake everything. I mean, the reason the Clintons are so successful is they've been building their infrastructure of corruption and deceit for 3 decades.
Okay, well then, thank you very much. Then we're at least glad to have your time, and I guess our light has died out. Okay, well then, this is Kit Cabell with Veracity In Defiance. Please follow us at the DNC convention. We're going to keep on covering this entire primary and all the news results that are happening here on the floor. And thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.